Consideration number 2. Yet each direction the church is headed in terms of methods has huge implications for facilities. You often read newspaper columns that say, okay, what's the next big thing in religion? And you think of any of them that might qualify as the next big thing, and they all have strong facility implications. The use of video. And you happen to worship in Moody Church in downtown Chicago, which is a gorgeous facility. How in the world? Well, they did a magnificent job after first the debate decision of do we want to bring the 21st century into this church building, and they said yes. And then they figured out how to hide scroll up the screens, and just did a wonderful job. And that's where probably one of these companies here that I'm looking at helped fund it, helped them figure out how to do it. But whether it's a new facility, a warehouse facility, with the increased role of video, has huge implications for the facilities. The multi-site movement, huge. Here, take Andy Stanley, Atlanta. God kept bringing people. They maxed out their 3,400 seat attendance facility. The natural thing was, Andy, let's build it more. And he's like, no. Why don't we build a back-to-back facility? Why don't we do some creative video work where you take a set shot of the whole screen and project it on the other? And then when they spilled over into Buckhead campus, they did the same thing. And actually, the projection screen is 135% actual. So they were at the Buckhead campus like saying, okay, Andy's going to come in person. This is going to be great. And when he came, everybody was like, I didn't know you were so short. We couldn't see you nearly as well. I mean, we could see the little warts on how well you shaved this morning when we got the video. And we're ready for the video again. Thanks for coming. So huge facility implications. You've got the other extreme. Rex spoke to you, touched on the small church. Just because I'm talking about megachurch, don't assume that everything that I'm speaking about is limited to large churches. There are churches of 50 people who are trying to figure out, how do we use PowerPoint, or maybe I shouldn't say it that way. There are churches of 50 people that do more creative things with PowerPoint, with the teenagers in their church, than there are churches of any other size. Creativity and giftedness is not hooked to church size. But there are huge implications for your architecture and facilities, depending on the methodology that the church begins to use. Third, there are specific ways buildings can be used more effectively for outreach and discipleship. First, as was observed earlier this morning and in yesterday's meetings, senior pastors today have much more say in the building. It's no longer, let the architect and the building committee handle it. The building reflects the vision, and the senior pastors are the shaper of the vision. Now, if they want a quick route to burning out and not being in the building after it's built, they'll stay on as the head of the project. But senior pastors more and more tend to say, I want to shape this thing, and then I'll get out of the way. Attractional ministry, bring the people to us approach, is still a primary emphasis for most churches. I mean, we've all probably read books about the missional church and being the kind of the church that the community would weep if our church was gone. And Robert Lewis's story in Little Rock, Arkansas, of how their church changed from being a fortress to being integrally involved in the community. But still, in most of these churches who writes the books, there's still a strong attractional element. Those knock-dead children's activity centers make a big difference still. Although the rhetoric is increasing about the kind of missional church that people would weep if it disappeared, yet most churches are also still interested in making their building the coolest place in town. Or I think Rex had a different word for that earlier.